Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video what we're going to do is talk about the primary key and the foreign key and how we can set up what's called constraints on our foreign key. Now in the last video what we did was we joined a table on, so we joined our products table onto our users table, and the way that we related those data was with a primary ID called ID on our users table and a foreign key called user_ID on our products table. And with those two together, that's called a foreign key primary key relationship. But we noticed we set it up on purpose to have a user that that was deleted, but the product still existed in the table. And so what we can end up having is some broken data. Or what we call orphaned data, where we have we've deleted something in one table that had a relationship to another table, and that's where foreign key constraints can come in handy. I'll tell you right off the bat that foreign key constraints can be annoying to work with, but they are very useful for stopping you from doing things that you may not intend to do, and so it is very useful sometimes to set these up. So let's go ahead now and just let me go to the screen here and make sure that my server is up and running with opt lamp examp start, and mine is already running. So let's bring up our command prompt for MySql, and I do that with opt lamp bin MySql -u root, and then we're going to go ahead and use our DB table, our database that we created. So now that we've changed into that database, let's go ahead and show our tables. So we have a products table and a users table, and if we go ahead and describe our products table, you'll notice that we have this user ID. Now this user ID would be considered a foreign key, because what we're doing here is using this column to relate it to our users table, the primary key of the ID. Okay, so those two together relate the products table to the users table. So let's say I wanted to stop the ability to delete information if there is something associated with it. So let's go ahead now and show how we can add a foreign key constraint. So let's go ahead, and we are going to since we already have the table, we have to use the alter table. So we're going to say alter table, and what table are we going to alter? Well, we're going to alter the products table. And then what we want to do is add a constraint. It'd be very helpful if I could type today. And we're going to give that constraint a name, and I'm just going to call this user_ID. Okay? So then what we're going to do is we need to tell it what the foreign key is. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and skip down to the next line, and I'm just going to type foreign space key, and then in parentheses we're going to give it the column name, so that is user_ID. So that will create the foreign key, but then we need to tell it what that foreign key references, and it references our grades table. So let's see, or I'm sorry, not our grades table. This this references our users table. So we're going to say, I'm going to go down to the next line, and we'll say references, and then we're going to say users, and inside there we're going to put parentheses, and we're going to say ID, and we'll do a semicolon. Let's see. This is annoying. What did I do wrong here? Cannot add or update a child row. A foreign key constraint fails. Let's try this, simplify this a little bit more. I don't know if I'm getting problems because this is MariaDB. So alter table products, and then we're going to add foreign key, and this foreign key we're going to add here is going to be the column name, so it's user ID. So that's what it's called in the products table. And then we're going to references the users table, okay, and then we need to tell it the column name here, which is ID. So again, let's try that. And we are getting an error 1452, and I'm not sure why. Let's look that up. MySql error 14, what was that? It was 1452, adding foreign key. Let's see what we come up with here. This error comes when we're trying to add a row for which no matching row in the other table. Okay, I think I know what's happening here. So let's go back now and let's just describe. I do know what's happening now. So I'm going to describe our products table just to make sure nothing crazy is here. Okay, so if we do a select star from users, remember that we added a row in our products table for this user 6 that I deleted, and we're trying to add a constraint for a table that's already broken. So I think I've got to fix this table first. So if we go to select star from products, this food bag row right here is causing us a problem. So what we're going to do now is we're going to delete that row. So delete from products where ID is equal to, in our case, 7. So now if I select star from products, we should have the user ID should work now. The reason we're having this issue is because we're trying to add this constraint to tables that already exist. A lot of times you'll be adding these constraints to tables. You'll be adding them to new tables as you create them. So you won't have any data in there, so it won't exist in that way. So let's go ahead now and try this again. So alter table products, add foreign key user ID, and it references user's ID. Okay, so now it says is 6 rows affected, 6 duplicates. So now it did work. So that is what the problem was. So if you get an error message, look it up and it may give you a hint as to why you're getting that error message. In our case, it's because we already would have been violating our constraint by adding that constraint. So now let's try something. Let's try to, now that we have this, let's just first of all describe our products table. I guess it's not going to show that. Let me look up real quick. Show constraints on table. Well, I guess we could look at the information schema or whatever, but anyways, we're not going to do that. What I want to do now is let's go back now and select star from users. And now we have, if you remember, we had some products that Jules had some products. So let's just try now and see. And what this should do is give us a error. So I'm going to delete from users where ID is equal to 3, which will try to remove Jules. But remember, we have a relationship with Jules in the products table. So there should be a foreign key constraint that stops us from deleting this. And it does. It says cannot delete or update a parent row, foreign key constraint fails. And that constraint fails because it references users in our users ID in our products table. Okay, so let's try to alter this foreign key constraints. Let's try this, and I'm not sure this is going to work, but let's alter table, and we want to alter the products table. And now what I want to do is we alter the table products, and let's let me see if there's a way to first remove foreign key constraints. Okay, so what we'll need to do is reference, see this error? This error is going to help us out because the constraint is called products underscore IBFK underscore 1. And so what we need to do is delete that. So let's go ahead now and do that. So alter table products, and we're going to drop foreign key, and then we need to reference that. So it was called products underscore IBFK underscore 1. Okay, so there we go. That deleted that foreign key, and now what I'm going to try to do is add another one. So alter table products, and then we want to add a foreign key constraint. So add, there we go, foreign key, and we're going to give it the column name. So this was user underscore ID, and then I'm going to skip down to the next line. We'll say references, and it references the users table, and then we have to put in parens, it references the ID. Now I'm not going to run that just yet by using a semicolon, because what we want to do is, and I'm going to look this up, but we're going to change this because by default this restricts us from deleting. So what I want to do now is change this to cascade, and what will happen is when we delete Jules from the users table, it'll also delete the rows in the products table that he was associated with. So it won't leave any what we call orphaned rows in the products table. So that's two different ways to handle it. You can restrict the deletion to where we would have to first go and delete the products, and then we can delete the user, or we can cascade that deletion down where it will let us delete Jules, but it'll also delete those products from the product table, so we won't have any orphaned rows. So let me look that up real quick. So I'm going to type in MySql foreign key constraint cascade. So I think what I can do is we could just type on delete right here and say, hey, on delete, what we want to be able to do is cascade like that, and then we'll do our semicolon, and now it says there are 6 rows affected. Now what's really cool about this is, let's go now and select star from users, and what I'm going to do is create a user called delete me in here. So let's go ahead and insert into users, and then we're just going to give it an F name and an L name, and we'll say values, and we'll just say delete for the first name and me for the second name. Now if I select star from users, we have this delete me, and the ID is 13. So let's remember that foreign key, or I'm sorry, this primary key of 13, and let's add some products to the product table using that. So let's go ahead now and insert into products. Now we insert into products. Let's go ahead and define the schema here. So this is going to be user underscore ID, and then we're going to say name and then price. Okay, and then we're going to say values, and I'm going to skip down to the next line, and now we're going to say user ID, remember, was 13. So 13, and we're just going to delete 1, and then price, we'll just put 199. It doesn't matter what the price is. And let's add a couple more of these. 13, delete 2, price $2.99. And let's just do one more. Also with the ID of 13, that's the user ID. And we'll do delete 3 with a price of $3.99. Semicolon, enter. Now this added the rows, so if I do select star from products now, we have these 3 products added, and the foreign key of the user ID is 13. So this is going to be related to that delete me user that we added. So let's go now and try and see what happens if we try to delete that user. So let's do delete from, oops, users where ID is equal to 13. So now that worked. It didn't give us an error even though there were products in the products table. But now let's try this out. Let's select star from users. Okay, we can see that ID 13, the delete me row, is gone, so it did delete it. And now let's select star from products. And now you can see that all of our products that had the user ID 13 have been deleted as well. So that is what the foreign key constraint does. It either A, restricts it by default. If you don't define anything when you set it up, it will restrict it when you delete it. So it'll just error out and say you can't delete this because you have products associated with this user. And that's typically a good default because you'll want to go and delete the products first, then delete the user if you're wanting to do that. Or if you're sure you just want to be able to delete users, and you just say, when I delete the user, just go ahead and delete all the products, you can use cascade, which is what we have set up now. So now when I delete the user, any products that have a foreign key constraint associated with it in the products table will be deleted. It will cascade down. So it'll delete the user and the products. So it's very, very, very powerful. So you may want to set up, if you're doing related tables and you want to protect your data or keep you from getting orphaned rows, you'll want to set up a foreign key constraint. So I would recommend trying to use if you want to be safe, use the restrict, so that you can't, and you have to manually delete those rows in the child or the second table, or you can cascade delete down. So I hope that's helpful. That is foreign key constraints. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.